This is the second lecture where we are going to study the structure and physiography of India. The maps that are drawn on the board should also be made by you if you want to have a command over this particular chapter and geography as a whole. If I want to study the structure and physiography of India, it is something important that I go a little bit in the background. When I'm talking about the Himalayas, we very well know that it is an outcome of the sedimentary rocks. Clear? So the nature is going to be different. That is why type. So everybody over here, I request you, these are all hand-drawn maps. These are all drawn by hand by me, specially for you. So I request you all to please draw them. Hello aspirants, welcome to PW OnlyIAS. I am here Harpreet Singh with your geography lecture. We are continuing with the lecture series of the geography which we had promised you. In the previous lecture, we had studied India's location. This is the second lecture where we are going to study the structure and physiography of India. Please remember aspirants, UPSC considers this chapter as a very important chapter for your prelims as well as mains examination. So please remember, while you're listening to the lecture, please try to note down whatever is written on the board. The maps that are drawn on the board should also be made by you if you want to have a command over this particular chapter and geography as a whole. So let's begin today's lecture, and let me assure you that if you follow this lecture properly, you will be able to solve almost all the questions of the prelims as well as the mains examination that come from this particular chapter. Let's begin. This is a Telegram account where you can find this particular PDF of the lecture that I'm taking right now, along with it, guidance with respect to anthropology optional, as well as civil services preparation in general. Let's begin. The topic is structure and physiography. Now, something very important, students. If I want to study the structure and physiography of India, it is something important that I go a little bit in the background and understand certain concepts if I want to explain the concept of structure and physiography. Let's see. Please note, the NCERT very categorically mentioned that the Earth is about 4.6 billion years old. Now, this is very important. In the UPSC examination, not only civil services but other examinations also, a question related to this age has come. Where certain standard books mention the age as 4.5 billion, some mention 4.4 billion, some as 4.3. UPSC is only going to accept 4.6 as it has previously done in other examination. So you should very categorically adhere to certain facts that are mentioned in the NCERT. So the age is 4.6 billion years old. Now please understand, if I want to understand the structure or physiography, I should understand something that if the surface of Earth is being, let us say, experiencing a lot of changes, what we're going to study in structure and physiography, so there would be certain forces that would be acting on it, right? Some from inside, some from outside. And that is how you realize that various landscapes are being carved out. So see here. Many changes have taken place due to, first, endogenetic forces, second, exogenetic forces. Let's leave what their explanation is right now. Let's see from a very simple perspective. When I mention the word endo, the word endo itself means inside. Inside or internal? Or internal. On the other hand, when I mention exogenetic, the word exo means outside, exo. You should remember in the perspective that when you're studying atmosphere also, you have the outermost layer as exosphere, that means outside. Similarly, when we talk about exo, it means outside, outside. Now, so something that is very evident from the word itself. This is related to inside or internal. Can I say that there would be certain internal forces acting which will be impacting the surface of the Earth? So see here. The internal forces of factors that shape the Earth's surface. Now you know that very well. Plate tectonic movements, you know that volcanic activities, you know earthquakes, you know faulting activities taking place. Now these are internal forces that is taking place inside the Earth, which impacts the surface of the Earth, right? Supposingly there is a lot of volcanism, right? You can have or see or observe, let us say, a mountain being built because of volcanic activities. Yes? We very well know the Deccan Plateau is formed because when the Indian plate was moving over the Reunion hotspot, right? So the Deccan trap or a stair-like structure was formed. So those were internal forces which are impacting the surface. So these are known as endogenetic forces. When I talk about exogenetic, now leave what is inside the earth. Let us talk about surface. Let us say a lot of rain or a lot of rainfall is there. Do you realize that something that is on the surface, rainfall drops and it might lead to erosion activities? Yes, even due to, let us say, uh, worms being there in the soil, or let us say organic matter being there, let us say animals being there, that might also shape or carve the landscape in a various ways. So what do we see? Exogenetic means external forces or factors that shape the Earth's surface. They can be, let us say, weathering, erosion, depositional activities taking place. Now, let us say, you know that very well, if I talk about the course of a river. In the initial stages, the youth stage, a lot of erosion takes place. But when I go to the old stage, deposition of the sediments takes place. Now, this is taking place on the surface of the Earth. Surface of the Earth. Now, these are known as exogenetic forces. Now, many will be thinking, sir, are these forces completely different? Are they not dependent? But please remember one thing. Right now, when I'm telling you, I'm taking them individually. I know that very well that these forces definitely impact exogenetic forces also. There is an interrelation. But when we take as separately also, then also we can understand that these forces are affecting the surface of the Earth. Clear? Now, this is something basic that you should know because we are studying the structure in physiography. Now, let's move ahead and see something very, very important. The moment you read the NCERT of class 11 in particular, a very particular statement is mentioned which most of the candidates, if I ask them, are unable to understand. The statement says that physiography of an area is an outcome of structure, process, and stage. The moment this statement is said, people assume that what this means or what could be the meaning. But please remember this, these are certain geological laws and all which people study in the geography optional. You do not have to study here, but the statement is mentioned in the NCERT, so it becomes important for us, and it can be asked as a 10 marker or even a 15 marker in your mains examination. Now let us understand the three statements that are present. Physiography of an area is an outcome of structure, process, and stage. This is a line. Let's understand what you mean by structure. If I want to talk about structure, what does it mean? It refers to the type, arrangement, age of rock, presence of fault, fold, and joints. So something that is a foundation on which various processes will take place. That means that is why we are talking about the type, the arrangement, what type of rocks it might be, whether there are joints, whether there are faults or folds. So this is basically the structure of an entity which we are referring to, or the foundation we are referring to. Example, the folded structure of the Himalayas create rugged mountains. Now you know that very well when the Indian plate basically collided with the Eurasian plate, then there was some subduction and that led to the rise of the Himalayas. Clear? So now this folded structure led to the creation of what? The Himalayas. That is why this is a structure. That is why when we are talking about structure, it does not only refer to a shape, it also refers to the type, what type of rock it is. Supposingly, when I'm talking about Deccan Plateau, we refer to basaltic rocks, right? Now the nature is different. Its composition is going to be different. When I'm talking about the Himalayas, we very well know that it is an outcome of the sedimentary rocks. Clear? So the nature is going to be different. That is why type, how the arrangement is there. We know that very well when the sedimentary rocks are there, they're going to be layers. One layer over the layer, one layer over the layer. That is why it is known as stratification. This is something that you do also in geography, which we'll be covering later on, right? On the other hand, you know that igneous rock is an outcome of the solidification, crystallization of the lava and the magma, which we generally study when we are studying volcanic activities. So over here, type, arrangement, age of rocks, because age of rock also becomes very, very important. Presence of fault folds. This is known as a structure. Having understood structure, second thing comes the process. Now you very well know, supposingly this is a basic foundation. What all processes is this foundation being subjected to? These processes are basically what we studied in the previous slide, endogenetic and exogenetic forces. Refers to the endogenetic and exogenetic forces that act upon the earth. Supposingly, river erosion, now this is exogenic. Why exogenic? Because it is an external process that is moving and affecting the surface. On the other hand, faulted structure, faulting or faulting that is taking place is basically what? Endogenic. What do you mean by endogenic? Something that is inside. Supposingly, let's take an example. Let's take an example. Supposingly, this is a paper in front of you, right? Now, let us take this. Now, I know inside the earth, lot of movements of plates taking place, lot of processes are going on, right? Now, let us say that if there is a pressure exerted from this particular side, there will be this fold-like structure created. Realize this? Now, this is due to the internal forces that is taking place. That is why it is endogenetic or endogenic forces. This is folding, right? So, that is why please understand. Processes over here refer to the endogenic and the exogenic processes that are basically being experienced by the landscape. Now why? Because an external process can also affect the surface, the internal process can also affect the surface. So that is why the process becomes very important. Stage, third part, refers to the evolutionary phase of a landscape. What do you mean by an evolutionary phase? When you study a river or its life cycle, do you realize you study the river in its youth stage, it is in a mature stage, or it is in the old stage? Do you study this? That is a life cycle of a river, or the erosion cycle which we study. Do you realize, supposingly the processes that are taking place in the youth stage, a lot of erosion is going to take place. On the other hand, if I talk about, let us say the mature stage of a river, depositional activities will be taking place around, let us say formation of deltas will be there. So do you realize these are the stages? Formation of landscape, formation of the various physiographic structures on the surface. So this is referring to the evolutionary phase. Example, youth, mature and old stage of, let us say, a river. Of a river. So please remember, this is a little technical. The one technical part which people tend to neglect, they do not even read the statement. This is very, very important. Structure, again repeating, refers to the types, arrangement, what type of rocks are there, what is the age of rock, what type of joints are there in the rock, or what type of, let us say, folding or faulting has taken place. That is the structure. Process basically means the various endogenic or endogenic, exogenic or exogenic forces that are basically acting on the particular, let us say, structure. On the other hand, in which stage basically that particular structure is, or we can refer to the evolutionary phase of a landscape. This is the meaning of the statement. To sum up this, can I say, geological structure means something that is the foundation of any rock or whatever thing we are considering with respect to, let us say, even a mountain. It is a folded structure. Processes are something that modify. Now you realize this, that if the Indian plate is further moving towards the Eurasian plate, again, these are endogenic forces that are taking place. It will further lead to rise in the height of the Himalayas, right? So various processes taking place. Along with it, do you realize the Himalayas also experience a lot of exogenic forces? The rivers are eroding, right? So they bring out the silt also. So those forces are also acting on them. So processes are basically that modify this foundation over the time. Stage is the development or the phase where this foundation has reached. To which stage it is right now? Which stage it is right now? So stage is in the process of these endogenic and exogenic forces. Which position or phase of development is this particular foundation lying right now? It can be in the youth, it can be in the mature, it can be in the old stage. So this is the brief idea of the statement that was mentioned in your NCERT. We know that as we move ahead, we will be analyzing that even better. But this is often neglected by the candidates, so I've taken this in prior so that you understand it. Let's move ahead. Coming to the topic which we were studying, that is the physiographic divisions. If I see the physiographic divisions, we can broadly classify India's physiography into various categories. First, the northern and the northeastern mountains. Northern and the northeastern mountains. Then you have the northern plains. You have the Indian desert, you have the coastal plains, you have the Peninsular Plateau. Obviously, we have, in addition to them, we have islands also. Now, the islands do not cover only Andaman and Lakshadweep, they also cover various other islands that are present, which we will be covering in this particular lecture. So, everybody over here, I request you, these are all hand-drawn maps. These are all drawn by hand by me, specially for you. So I request you all to please draw them. You can pause the video, you can draw the map. Yes, initially it becomes a little difficult to understand how one has drawn, but with practice, it is very easy. You can draw this particular map, the outline, in less than 5 to 6 seconds if you practice. Yeah? So these are the divisions. Now let us take them one by one. First of all, northern and the northeastern mountains. It is further classified into various categories as the Trans-Himalayas, the Greater Himalayas, the Lesser Himalayas, the Shivaliks, and the Purvanchal range. Now see here, before I begin, as I always say, I'm going to begin with the Trans-Himalayas. This is the map. Now please remember, when I'm in the examination also, when I'm drawing, referring to, let us say, the Trans-Himalayas, I don't have to make the complete map of India. I can just refer to a specific part because my focus is on the Trans-Himalayas. This also you should keep in mind while you are answering in the mains examination. Supposingly you have to draw Karakoram range. You don't have to draw the complete map. Why are you wasting the space? This should be very categorically kept in mind because marks are cut if you waste the space. The examiner very well understands your motives. Clear? So, firstly, the map that we have drawn, I have enlarged that. Let's see the Trans-Himalayas. The Trans-Himalayan ranges basically comprises various further ranges, right? So, what are the Trans-Himalayas? Now, these are composed of first the Karakoram range. This is the Karakoram, right? Now, when I am writing certain things over here, something is written over here, you have to note it down because this is a detail that you should know and it is more than sufficient for you to know them. That can be asked in your prelims also and mains for that matter. Karakoram, it is located in the, please see here, in the Gilgit-Baltistan and the Ladakh region. Now, you very well know that this is the Gilgit-Baltistan region, Ladakh region, and certain parts of Aksai Chin for that matter also. But this is the complete Karakoram range. The length is about 500 kilometers. The length is about 500 kilometers. The highest point is Mount K2, which I'm going to show you in the further slide with respect to the peaks. So the highest peak, Mount K2, is over here. Also with respect to India also, 8611 kilometers. Meters, sorry, not kilometers, it is meters. Just to correct it, meters. Something very, very important again. It has an alternative name also. It has an alternative name also. The name is Krishnagiri range. Krishnagiri range. Why it is important? In the examination, they might mention Krishnagiri range is a part of the Trans-Himalayas. Now you will say, we have never heard Krishnagiri range. It is not possible. You will cut it as one of the statements. Please remember that the alternative name of the Karakoram is Krishnagiri range. That you should keep in mind. Clear? It is more than sufficient for you to remember this. Now let's move on to the other ranges of the Trans-Himalayas. Second, this particular range is the Ladakh range. Clear? Ladakh range. Let's study. Now, it is about 370 kilometers. The average height is less than 5,000 meters. And there are certain notable passes. Why I'm asking the passes is sometimes it is asked also that Changla Pass is located on which mountain range? Thar Desert is located on which mountain range? At that time, it will be very confusing if you do not know this. So, Thar Desert and Changla are very important passes which are located on the Ladakh range. Clear? Now let's come to the third. This in pink or purplish pink as you say is a Zaskar range. The length is about 300 kilometers. The average height is approximately 6,000 meters. There are various important passes here that you should remember. Pensila, Chingola, these are important passes. Very important thing, one more. Nanga Parbat, 8126 meter is located here. Nanga Parbat is located here. We'll be showing you the with respect to the peaks also, don't worry. Next comes the Kailash range, something very important from the perspective of religion also. You know that Mount Kailash is present in the Kailash range, which is an abode of Lord Shiv. So it becomes very important from the perspective of religion also. So this is a very important range. Now see here. And in particular, please remember, this also shows us a close connect between the geography, the religious belief system, our spirituality, and how we lead our lives. That is why you realize in the Indian culture, we are very closely attached to the environment. And that is why you realize people worship the rivers also, trees also, mountains also. This shows a belief system where you have to protect them also. We should also keep up the environmental spirit in us, right? Okay. Kailash range, the length is about 320 kilometers. The average height is 5,500 to 6,000 meters. Then again, you have the Mount Kailash that is 6,714 meters located here. Something again very important, Indus River. Indus River originates from the northern slopes of the Kailash range. From the northern slopes of the Kailash mountain range. Clear? You can note it down, or you can, along with it, draw the map and note it down, because once you have done in this manner, you will not forget it. The problem that arises is, when you read geography, you read this content, do not see the map. When you see the map, you do not read the content. This is what is the problem. Why people find it difficult, because they're not able to correlate the map study along with the content. Now, what I have done is I have used all the content that is required or present in the NCERTs and certain books, and along with the maps. So when you use this, you will not forget the details as well as the location that is present there. Clear? So this is the Trans-Himalayas. Now comes an important aspect. See over here. We see a lot of important peaks are present here. Yeah, very important peaks are present here. Let's see. In the Karakoram range, you have Broad Peak 8047 meters. You have the Stelgalsar 7885 meters. Then you have Mount K2, which is also known as Mount Godwin Austen, 8611 meters. Then you have Gasher Brum, that is 8068 meters. Then you have the Ladakh range over here. Then you have the Zaskar range, which has Nunkun Peak. Then you have Mount Kailash present over here. So you realize this, that all these peaks are again very important. This can be asked in your prelims paper, definitely. And those who have geography optional also, you can also make the best utilization of these maps, because they become important for you also. Yeah, this is important. Why? Please understand. Sometimes when the questions are asked, even in your mains, they can ask you to write a note on the Trans-Himalayan mountains and a description about them. In that case, if you have drawn this map or shown certain peaks in that, you can get very good marks, right? So this is again important peaks. Let's move ahead. Now let us come to the Great Himalayas and obviously the Middle Himalayas and the Shivaliks. Let's study them. I have added a lot of content that is required for your preparation. Now if you see, this is the extent. This particular range which you are seeing in brownish color, brownish orangish color, is your Great Himalayas. Now please understand, Great Himalayas or the Greater Himalayas is not the only name that they have. Great Himalayas or the Greater Himalayas, Himadri or the Inner Himalayas. These are again the names or the various names which are basically designated to this particular range. Now see, the average height is 6,100 meters. Width is 25 kilometers. Formed by the central crystalline. That means if you realize over here, if I want to study the structure of the Great Himalayas, underneath lies granitic structure or rocks, granite and genesis. On the top of it are metamorphized sediments that is made up of limestone. This is what is the structure. What is the structure? So that means the base is formed by the granite and genesis. On top of it lies the metamorphized sediments that is majorly limestone. This is something that you should remember. Clear? Okay. It terminates abruptly at the Nanga Parvat and Namcha Barwa, which are on the extreme sides, which we will be studying after some time. We'll be seeing the mountain peaks, and then we'll study them. Now, it has the highest peaks. Why it has the highest peaks? Which we'll be seeing that, like Mount Everest and all the important peaks are present in this particular mountain range. Let's see here. Let's see some passes. Now, this can be asked in your prelims also. Burzil and Zojila Pass are again, these are all with respect to the Greater Himalayas. Burzil and Zojila Pass in Jammu and Kashmir. Baralacha and Shiplika Pass in Himachal Pradesh. Thangla, Niti Pass, Lipulek Pass in Uttarakhand. Nathula and Jelepla in Sikkim. Now, these can be asked in your prelims and they can give you a mismatch. Let us say this pass in which stage, this part in this stage. So, you should be remembering this. Clear? You can all note it down. It is very important for your, again, examination. If you have this much content, it is more than sufficient for prelims and mains. Clear? Let's move ahead. Having done the Greater Himalayas or the Himadris or the Inner Himalayas, let's move ahead. Now see, these are with respect to your peaks. If you see, we have done earlier also, Badrinath, Nanda Devi over here, Dholagiri, Annapurna, Gauri Shankar, Mount Everest, Makalu, Kanchenjunga, Namcha Barwa. All these things are basically present here. Clear? Now, very often, please understand, very often, question is asked with respect to them. Very often. Now, please understand how to remember them. Remember this in like way. The gem. In this order. Dholagiri, Annapurna, Gauri Shankar, Everest, and Makalu. So you can remember it in this way. These are the important peaks of the Great Himalayas. Let's move ahead. Next comes the Middle Himalayas. The Middle Himalayas, the Lesser or Lower Himalayas, or the Himachal. Now this pink range which you are seeing basically is representing your Middle Himalayas. Clear? Now let's see. When I talk about the average height is 3,500 to 4,500 meters. Width is about 80 kilometers. Now again, if I see the structural aspect, because I told you very well, the structure includes what type of rocks are there, how they are laid, arrangement and all. So over here, what happens? The main rocks are slate, limestone, and quartzites. Quartzites. A very important thing with respect to this particular range is that extensive erosion due to deforestation, urbanization, and rain has taken place. So though earlier on we realized that this mountain range was full of forest and all, lot of erosional activities, lot of urbanization has taken place. It has very badly impacted this particular range, because a lot of commercialization activities or commercial activities have taken place, particularly states like Uttarakhand or the states like Himachal Pradesh. It has many hill stations like Shimla, Mussoorie, Ranikhet, Nainital. So these are the certain important characteristics. Now let's see something. That this particular range has been given various names. If you see, this part of the Middle Himalaya is known as Pir Panjal Range. Pir Panjal Range. It is about 300 to 400 kilometers and average height is about 1400 to 400 meters. It varies. Post that you have the Dhauladhar Pass. Dhauladhar. Now the passes through Dalhousie and Shimla. Over now, these are very important places. Why? Please understand. Dhauladhar is basically in the Himachal Pradesh. The Middle Himalayas in the Himachal Pradesh region are referred to as Dhauladhar. Now you have places like Dalhousie and Shimla also located in this place, so very important from the touristic aspects also. And Britishers used to find them very attractive during the summer times when it used to be really very exhausting in the plain areas. If you come to Uttarakhand region, you realize that this particular range has two names, Nag Tibba and then is Mussoorie range. Now both are in Uttarakhand. These are in Uttarakhand, Dhauladhar is in Himachal Pradesh, and obviously Pir Panjal lies in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. In Nepal, it is known as Mahabharat range. In Nepal, it is known as the Mahabharat range. Now, the moment you move to the northeastern region, this state is basically Arunachal Pradesh. In Arunachal Pradesh, please understand, there are a lot of names which have been given. The names are Dafla Hills, Miri Hills, Mishmi Hills, Abor Hills. Abor Hills. One thing that you need to understand here, though the names have been given, there is something very interesting or interesting fact that you should. These are not only the names of these hills, these are also the names of the tribes which are residing here. These are also the names of the languages that are spoken by the tribes. So this is something very important. See, these are names of hills, along with it tribes, along with it languages. What do you mean by that? That means Miri tribe, Abo tribe, Mishmi tribe are staying here. They speak the same language also. So this is, from a way you can say, it is the name of the hill also, the name of the tribe also, the name of the language also. We study in anthropology optional also with respect to these tribes. So this is something that you should be knowing. Clear? Let's move ahead. Next comes the Shivaliks or the outer Himalayas or the sub-Himalayas. See here. This is again the Shivalik range. Clear? Now see. See this very carefully. The length is 240 kilometers. The length is 240 kilometers. The width is 45 kilometers in the west to 8 kilometers in the east. This can be asked in your papers. It is wider in the west or in the east. So you should be very well clear about this. Average height is 1300 meters. Next is, it is a non-continuous range. It is broken through various regions. It is very clearly visible also. It is not a continuous range. It is composed of sandstone, clay, limestones. So again, when we're talking about the structure, you can use this, right? These are the types of rocks that are present here. Now, please understand, this is again very, very important for you here. These are certain lines which are picked up very important from the NCERT. The Shivalik from the northeastern India, northeastern part of India, up to Nepal, are covered with thick forest. The forest cover decreases towards the west from Nepal. As you move towards the western region, the forest cover keeps on decreasing. As you move towards the west, the forest cover keeps on decreasing with respect to Shivalik. Why? The reason behind it is that a lot of commercial activities have taken place which have completely destroyed the natural vegetation. If I take an example, let us understand, even in the regions of Uttarakhand particularly, a lot of commercial activities taking place. So large number of cutting of trees happens. And that is why you realize that the forest cover, as you move towards this direction, continuously keeps on decreasing. Another fact, very important. In Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, the southern slopes. What do you mean by the southern slopes? See here. Supposingly, this is a mountain. This is a mountain, right? Now, one that is facing the north, this is the northern slope. This is the southern slope. So the southern slope is, let us say, this side. The northern slope would be the upper side. Again, see, supposing this is the Shivalik mountain range. This is facing towards the northern plains. This is facing towards the middle Himalayas, right? This is facing towards the middle Himalayas and this is facing towards the northern plains. So this is the southern slope. This is the northern slope. Yeah. So the Himachal and Punjab, the southern slopes of the Shivaliks are devoid of forest cover. Again, because of commercial activities, agriculture being practiced. Over here, there are certain seasonal streams that flow, which are known as chaws. Chaws basically refers to seasonal streams in the regions of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. So again, an important word that you should be knowing. Clear? Okay. Let's understand one more thing that is very, very important. Possibly you might not be aware of this. You have heard of dunes. Have you heard of dunes like Dehradun? Right? So a lot of dunes are there. Let's see. Let's take an example how these dunes are formed. For example, I am from Dehradun. Now you will be saying, sir, you are in a hilly region, but it is not visibly hilly. Absolutely agreed. Had I been in Mussoorie, I would be among the mountains, so I could feel, yes, I'm in an elevated platform or some like hill, standing some on a hill. But in case of Dehradun, I do not feel. I feel like I'm in a plain region. Why? Why? See here. Let's see. This is supposedly the Great Himalayas. Right? Let's see, it is a Great Himalayas. Supposingly, there is another mountain range over here. Let's see. This is the Middle Himalayas. Now, this is the Shivaliks. Let's take them as Shivaliks. Now, you know that very well, a lot of erosional activities would be taking place from the side of the rivers that will be coming or melting of the glaciers. Yes? So what is going on is, Because of the erosional activities, lot of deposition takes place over here, right? Now, if you see this, this is a relatively flat region. If I'm standing in Dehradun, if I see, I can far off see, yes, there will be some mountain range, yes, possibly, but I do not feel that I am in some hilly region or let us say I'm standing on the top of a mountain. No, a plain-like view is observed. Why? Because this dune has been formed because of the deposition of the silt and alluvium on this particular gap that was present between the middle and the Shivaliks. So this led to the formation of what is known as dune. Clear? So this is again very important. And these are very important places because with respect to commercial activities also, tourist places also, because the average height is more. The climatic conditions are also good over here. That is why Dehradun and similar places have been attracted or been, the Britishers are very attracted to these regions and they settle a lot of institutions of theirs in these regions, right? So again, it gives you a plain structural view also, and along with it, what happens? It is not at a lower altitude also, so the climatic condition is also good. The example is Dehradun. Clear? This is something that you should be knowing. Clear? Let's move ahead. Now let's move on to the Purvanchal or the northeastern ranges. Now please understand, I'm just showing you something that there are two parts which I'll be understanding. This is again the Himalayan ranges. They turn in the form of these northeastern ranges. You see this region, this is Patkai Bum. Next, in the Nagaland region, you have the Naga Hills. Over here, a very important peak is present, that is Saramati Peak, that is 3826 meter. That can be asked in your paper also. Then you have in the Manipur region, the Manipuri Hills. When you move further south, you have the Mizo Hills. Southern part of the Mizo Hill is also known as the Lushai Hills. In the Lushai Hills, you have a very important mountain peak, which is known as Blue Mountain, which is Blue Mountain is important because over there, a very important tribe, Lushai tribe, basically stays. So Lushai tribes are present over here. Now, if you come to this region of Tripura, you see Tripura Hills. Now, you'll be asking, sir, all good, we have understood this part. But the important is that these mountains, peaks, or the ranges which you have mentioned here, are they not a part of the Purvanchal? I'll say no. No. This over here, please understand. Let me make it very clear. Not a part of Purvanchal. Why? Because it is a part of the Deccan Plateau. It is a part of the Deccan Plateau. Though I'm teaching you here, over you have the Mikir Highlands and obviously the regions of the northeastern peaks. In the Deccan Plateau also we study, it is this part. This is a structurally, again, what structurally? What does the structure means? Based on the rocks, based on the arrangements, based on the age of the rock, based on the joints and also studies have been carried forward, and on the basis of that we have analyzed that these are not a part of the Himalayas. This particular portion is not a part of the Himalayas. They are resembling the structure of the Deccan Plateau. That is why, though I'm teaching you here, please make this clear in your mind. They can ask you, the Khasi, Mekhir, Rengma are an important ingredient of the Purvanchal or the northeastern ranges or hills with respect to the Himalayas. No. Clear? So let's see, though we have studying here. See, this is over here, what? This is here, Garo. Important thing again, Garo range over here or hills over here are inhabited by the Garo tribe. This is Khasi, they are inhabited by the Khasi tribe. This is Jaintia, inhabited by the Jaintia tribe. Then you have the Brail range over here, Brail. Then you have the Rengma, again the Rengma tribe is over here. Then you have the Mikhir, right? The Mikhir, very important, a very important range again over here. So these are part of the Deccan Plateau. Now let's see certain things about them. See here. I have minimized the size over here. Purvanchal, these are the extensions of the Himalayas. These are heavily forested, joined by the Meghalaya Plateau. What is the Meghalaya Plateau? Please understand. this region of the Meghalaya where all these peaks are present is the Meghalaya Plateau, which is again a part of your Deccan Plateau. So that is why, please understand, this is not the part of your Purvanchal, part of the Himalayas, right? Extensions of the Myanmar mountain chain continue southwards to the Andaman and Nicobar, even up to the archipelago of Indonesia. So please understand, when you see, there are a lot of explanations by various geographers also. So when you see the islands, extensions in the form of Arakanuma mountain ranges, or even to the Andaman Nicobar Islands, they assume that it is basically an extension of the Himalayas. Right. So there are a lot of theories on that. You can accept that, you can write it. There is no problem in that. Clear? Let's move ahead. Now comes the northern plains. This is the second division. You can very categorically please write the heading northern plains here. Please quickly write it down. So when we see the northern plains, everybody here, please make sure that you copy it well. There are various types of divisions on which we can classify the northern plains. One type is a regional division. What it is? The regional division. Based on the regional division, we can classify the northern plains into the Rajasthan plains, the Punjab plains, the Ganga plain. The Ganga plain is further divided into three categories: the upper Ganga plain, the middle Ganga plain, and the lower Ganga plain. We'll be studying all that. Then you have the Brahmaputra plain along the Brahmaputra river, right, in the northeastern, right? So now these are the important regional divisions of the northern plain. Let's see them and study them one by one. If I see the broad map or show you the broad map before I explain everything, you can see here is the Punjab plain, you have the Rajasthan plain. Please understand, we'll be taking Thar Desert separately, right? There's a desert part also. Rajasthan plain. This is the upper Ganga plain. This is the middle Ganga plain. This is the lower Ganga plain. And this is the Brahmaputra plain. Clear? Brahmaputra plain. Now, if you want to copy it, quickly copy it down. This will be easy for you to remember also, because using these maps and all do give you an edge over the others when you're writing the answers, right? So this is the basic division which I have shown you over here. Let's move further. Let's see the first part, that is the Punjab plain. You very well know this pink part refers to the Punjab plain, right? Now the Punjab plain, please understand, we are dealing from the various aspects. It is important for you to analyze them. 1.75 lakh kilometers square is the area. The area is 1.75 lakh square kilometers, drained by 5 rivers, you know, Punjab, that means 5 rivers. From west to east, it is 300 kilometers. From northeast to southwest, it is 650 kilometers, right? From west to east, 300 kilometers. From northeast is this part, southwest, it is 650 kilometers. Clear? This is the distance, how it is shown here. Clear? Now, separated from the Ganga plain by the Delhi Ridge. Now, please understand, Delhi Ridge, something, if you go to Delhi, you must have heard about Raisina Hills, right? Where the Rashtrapati Bhavan is located. If you go to various places in Delhi, you will see Ridge, Central Ridge, Southern Ridge, and all those. Now, these are very old mountain range or ridge, which is now broken part is present. Now, please understand there are a lot of theories, though we do not have to go into those details, but let me give you a brief idea. This Delhi Ridge, which you generally observe in Delhi, is considered as an extension of the Aravalli range. Now, there was a various famous thinkers like J.D. Dana and all. They basically say that the Aravalli range basically extends from the Gujarat region, moves on, then even extends or divides in the form of Delhi, Ridge. If you go to Haridwar, if you ever move from, let us say, Delhi to Dehradun, or you're crossing via Haridwar, you will see some mountainous-like structure. That is the Haridwar Ridge. That is also considered as a extension of the Aravalli range. That is why these are very old fold mountains, right? Unlike the Himalayas, which are the young fold mountains. Yeah. So, Delhi Ridge, intervening delta. Please understand, this is something very important. Supposing there is one river, right? There is another river over here. So, this region between them is known as a Doab. Clear? So, intervening delta between the rivers is known as a Doab. Now, there are various Doab. Let us say Sindh Sagar Doab. Sindh Sagar Doab between Indus and Jhelum. Then there is Jech or Chhaj. Jech, Chhaj. Jech or Chhaj, same thing. Based on the word you can understand. Jech means Jhelum. Then Chhaj means Chenab. So Chenab and Jhelum. Rachna, again, based on the name you can. R for Ravi, CH for Chenab. Ravi and Chenab. Majha, between Ravi and Beas. Bisht, between Beas and Satluj. This can be asked in your papers. It has been asked in the previous years also. So, Doab is an intervening delta between the rivers that is formed. Now, it can be between all these rivers. So, this is a name. Based on the name only, you can remember which all rivers we are basically dealing. So, this is the part of your Punjab plains. When I talk about Rajasthan, now Rajasthan plain is basically a plain which is drained, which is not very fertile, not fertile at all. It has arid conditions, obviously. Over here, it is drained by various seasonal rivers. Seasonal rivers over here. Clear? So let's move ahead. Then comes the Ganga plain. Let us take one by one the upper Ganga plain. The upper Ganga plain is 1.32 lakh kilometers square. The region is where the green revolution basically showed its best colors. The regions were like the Punjab, Haryana regions and the regions of the upper Ganga plain where the green revolution basically worked out really very well. Then you have the Ganga, Yamuna, Kali, Sharda. These are the important rivers. Then you have certain word which is used in the NCERT, Bhur. That means undulating aeolian or sandy deposits that are found in this particular region. These are aeolian. That is an outcome of wind erosion. And sand-like structure which is basically found here. These are known as Bhur. So you can remember that this can be asked as a small or one of these statements in your prelims examination. This is the upper Ganga plain. Next comes the middle Ganga plain. Now, middle Ganga plain is 1.44 lakh kilometers. There is thick deposits of Kankar that is here. Gandak, Kosi, Son are the important tributaries which are basically present here. This can also be asked. Then comes the lower Ganga plain, the smallest, 81,000 kilometers square. Tista, Jaldhakia, Sankosh, Mahanada, Ajay, Damodar, Subranakha are the major rivers which are basically you see their presence over here. So this is the lower Ganga plain. Now let's come to the Brahmaputra plain. This is 56,000 kilometers square, 720 kilometers long and 80 kilometers wide. It is the depositional plain. Because over here, the slope decreases tremendously. So the deposition, tremendous amount of silt that is brought by the Brahmaputra while it is crossing the Tibetan region. So the moment the slope decreases, a lot of deposition takes place. That is why between the river that is flowing, a lot of riverine islands are formed. Yeah. So this is again a very important dimension with respect to Brahmaputra plain. Let's move ahead. Now, this was, please understand, when I studied this, I told you this is a regional division. This is a regional division, there is another type of classifying is the physical division. Physical division. Based on the physical divisions, you have the Bhabar plain, Tarai, Khadar, or Bagar. It is sometimes in certain books it is as Bhangar, but majorly it is written as Bagar. Bagar is a more famous word. So what is this? Understand. Let us say this is the Himalayas, right? Just below the Himalayas are a type of region where you will be seeing that, particularly at the foothills of the Himalayas, where you will be seeing that boulders, cobbles are present at a very large number. It is not a very fine soil that you see. It's a very big boulders that are present. So what happens is, please understand, any river that is coming from the mountains will not be able to move over them because these are big boulders and cobbles that are present there, right? So what happens is water tends to seep down and move here. This is Bhabar. Now let's see Bhabar. Bhabar. It lies along the foothills of the Himalayas from Indus to the Tista River. It is 8 to 16 kilometers. It is 8 to 16 kilometers wide, formed by the alluvial deposits, mainly pebbles and boulders. Because it is pebbles and boulders, so what happens? Porous, dry and gravelly. So what happens? The river disappears underground. This is what we understood. It goes underground. Now next is the Tarai. You realize just after the Bhabar, see here, just after the Bhabar, it lies south of the Bhabar. Now this is approximately 15 to 30 kilometers wide. It is formed by the deposition of the finer alluvium. That means in the course of, as you move ahead, those cobbles and those pebbles will further erode and become finer, right? Because of the erosional activities taking place. So over here you realize that, this Tarai is basically a region where the finer alluvial deposits are present. Now the river which had disappeared will come up, come up on the surface, and we can see the river. Clear? So the streams reappear over here. So what do we see? These are the regions which are again marshy, which are waterlogged, which are fertile. But today's time you realize lot of them have been cleared and been utilized for agriculture practices. So this is a region again where the river reappears. Yeah, the water reappears or the river reappears. Next comes, this is the two things that you should know. Next comes two concepts which are very important: Bhagar and Khadar. Bhagar and Khadar. Now see here. If you see, supposing a river is flowing, next to the river I've drawn certain red stuff. Or let us say it is a deposition. Yes, it is a deposition. Now, if something is deposited close to the river, it will be fresh alluvial deposits, more fertile. Something that is very far off deposition made by the river during earlier phases, so that will be old alluvial deposition that have taken place. So they will not be so fertile because these red deposition, which is known as Khadar, will every year again new fresh alluvial deposition will take place. So it is very fit or very good for cultivation also for the crops. On the other hand, which are very far away from the rivers, over there you will see, because it is not replenished every year, definitely it will not be as fertile. So with respect to the depositions also, we can take two words, Bhagar and Khadar. Khadar are fresh alluvial depositions and Bhagar are the old alluvial depositions which are less fertile. Let's see them. Bhagar, upland areas which are older alluvial plains. They are less fertile, coarse, reddish, have calcareous nodules. Calcareous, that means calcium content is present. And these calcium nodules are known as kankad. Clear? Khadar, it lies close to the river channel, that means young floodplain. So newer alluvium is deposited annually. So by default, it will be more fertile. So this is again a division that we have done. This division was based on the physical division. These are the four categories you can be asked, and very often this question is asked in the examination, particularly the prelims. It can be asked in the mains also based on the physical or the regional divisions. Let's move ahead. Next comes the Thar Desert. Thar Desert, a very important region. Now you know that very well, the desert, because by default there will be very high temperatures, rainfall will be very less, vegetation will be very sparse, population density will be very less. Yes, these are the basic characteristics. If you see overall, it is 2 lakh square kilometers. Now out of this 2 lakh square kilometers, 85% is in India. That means the remaining 15% of this is in Pakistan. Yeah. It is surrounded by Aravallis in the east and the southeast, Indus Plain in the north and northwest, and Run of Kutch in the south. Surface sand comprises aeolian deposits. Rainfall is low and erratic. So obviously it will be having a lot of sand dunes present, sand deposits present. Why? Because these are regions of desert. These are very unfit for cultivation. Yes, we realize that if certain efforts are made, as we have seen with respect to Indira Gandhi Canal, also things can change. But you realize these are regions of extremes of climate. During the daytime, the temperature might rise up to even 50 degrees Celsius. And during the night time, it can fall to even -5 degrees Celsius. So staying here becomes very, very, very difficult here. Clear? So this is the Thar Desert that we studied with respect to India. Let's move ahead. Next comes a very important aspect, that is a Peninsular Plateau. Very important. Many questions are asked from here. And this is something important because we will have to analyze it also very well. It covers 16 lakh square kilometers. A general elevation is 600 to 900 meters. Bounded by Aravallis in the northwest. We'll be seeing this. Aravallis in the northwest. Hazaribagh and Rajmahal Hills in the northeast. Maikala Hills in the north. And the eastern and western Ghats, as you see along the edges of the peninsular region. Clear? So this is again the boundary. This is something that you should be aware of because again it can be asked in your prelims as one of these statements. Now, how you'll remember them? Because when we will be using the maps, become easy for you, right? Don't worry about that. Let's move ahead. If I see the Peninsular Plateau, we can divide the Peninsular Plateau into various divisions. First, the Central Highlands. Second, the Chota Nagpur Plateau and the surrounding plateaus. Third, the Deccan Plateau. Fourth, the Meghalaya Mighir uplands. This is something we have already done. We've already done this when we were doing the northeastern region or the Purvanchal. Last, the eastern and the western Ghats. So let's study each one of them, right? Central Highlands. Now please see. Central Highlands. The slope is from the southwest towards the northeast and the north. Now see over here. This particular region, if you see, let's see this region, like Central Highlands. So you see the rivers flowing upward. People generally see this is north, this is south, but you see the rivers flowing upward. That means the slope will be upwards. Yes, or this way or this way. That is why please understand what it is saying. It slopes from southwest towards the northeast and north. That is why the river Chambal and Betwa move towards the direction of northeast or north. They do not move south. So do not get confused on this parameter. Clear? If you see the map of India, you realize that Chambal moved towards this direction, northeastern direction, north direction. That means the slope is also that way. So we'll be studying this. So Chambal, Betwa, Sindh can flow here. That is why the direction or the slope is in the way from southwest towards the northeastern direction, northeastern and north direction. It is wider in the west and narrower in the east. Average elevation is 600 to 900 meters. This is just a broad overview. You'll be getting confused of where is this Central Highland, you do not understand. Don't worry, bache. We will be studying this. This is just an introductory part. Now you see this Central Highland is basically made of two parts. North Central Highland has the Malwa Plateau, Marwar Upland and the Aravali's. On the other hand, the South Central Highlands have the Vindhyan Range, the Bundelkhand or the Vindhyanchal Plateau and the Baghelkhand. This is the complete Central Highland. Clear? The slope is from the southwest. Slope is from the southwest towards the northeast and towards the north. That is why the rivers flow upward. Clear? Let's move ahead. Let's see. The first is Aravali's. What is this? Aravali. So let's see Aravali's. In the Aravali's, you realize that this is the Aravali range that you generally see. There are certain theories which also say that it basically moves even from the Arabian Sea and moves forward. There are a lot of theories. Certain thinkers like J.D. Dana have said this, but we do not have to go into all that detail because that is a work of geography optional. Do not have to go there. This is the Aravali range. Now you know that well. The elevation is 600 to 900 meters, runs northeast to southwest. Old Fold Mountain, 1.8 to 2 billion years old. One of the oldest mountain ranges that you can come across. Northwest of Udaipur, the Aravali is called Jarga Hills. This is again important. Northwest of Udaipur, it is known as Jarga Hills. In this particular Aravali's is something again a very important peak. Guru Shikhar, 1722 meter, that is located over here. Should be knowing that. Again, there is Mount Abu also located here. Yeah. This is Aravali's. Let's move ahead. Now, I'm showing you a brief aspect of the Central Highlands which we were discussing. This is the Aravali's. This is the Marwar Upland. This is the Malwa Plateau. This is the Bundelkhand. This is the Baghelkhand. And you have the Vindhyan range over here. And then you have certain extensions in the form of Banre range and the Kaimur range. So this is again broadly a complete representation of the Central Highlands. So we have already studied the Aravali's. Let's move ahead. Next is Marwar Upland. Now the Marwar Upland lies east of the Aravali range. Made up of sandstone, shales and limestone. Banas, again a river, important river with respect to this region. Banas from the Aravali flows through it before joining Chambal. So again, these are the certain details that you should be knowing, because more than that it is not required. We've already taken from NCERT plus certain other sources in order to supplement the knowledge which can be asked in the civil services examination. So this is again Marwar Upland. Next comes this pink part, Malwa Plateau. Now the Malwa Plateau length is 530 kilometers, width is 390 kilometers. General elevation decreases from 600 meters in the south, 500 meters in the north. See, this is what we were talking. Over here, the elevation is about, see here, very interesting. That is why the rivers flow towards the north. Over here, the elevation is what about? 600 meters elevation. When you talk about this region, the elevation is about what? 500 meters. Now, if the elevation is falling by 100 meters, that means this is the southern part, this is the northern part. Obviously, the rivers will flow this way. That is why you realize rivers tend to move towards the upper region. It is not upper, it is because the slope is like this. This is the southern part, this is the northern part. Like this. That is why the rivers flow upward. Yeah. So, composed of extensive lava flows covered with black soil. Obviously, there is an impact of the lava that is present there. It has an impact of the sort of volcanic activities have taken place in the past. So, we find aspects of the black soil also present over here. Aravallis in the north, Bundelkhand Plateau in the east. See, Aravallis in the north, Bundelkhand Plateau in the east, Vindhyan Range in the south. And the Chambal ravines are present over here. Very important. Chambal ravines are present over here due to the extensive erosion that has taken place because of the Chambal river, which makes it completely unfit for cultivation. Huge ravines are present, many, many feet. Extensive erosion has taken place over there, right? So this is again Malwa Plateau. Next comes Bundelkhand. General elevation 300 to 600 meters, area of 54,560 kilometers, made up of Genesis and Skits. Betwa, Kane, and Dasan are important rivers. Erosional work of the rivers has been converted the land unfit for cultivation. Now, as we have seen in these regions, due to the extensive erosion or the gullies or the ravines that have been created, it becomes very difficult now to make this region fit for cultivation. So this is again very, very important for you to understand that these regions are regions where cultivation is very difficult. The regions where poverty is also high. Because again, there is lack of economic activity. So all these things are related. When we study the topics which are asked in the prelims, they tend to relate the aspects of geography to the economy and life. Some of the examples which you see. These are the regions where the people are very poor. That is why you realize you used to hear about dacoits of Chambal and all. Why? Because there were no alternative sources of income that were present there. People used to resort to such means of looting and all. Now, obviously, there is very strict control by the police now. These things have been curbed. But these again, that is why we say how the geography of a region influences the life, the economy, the way we think, the way we live, what the facilities are provided to us. So this is one of the ideal examples of that. Clear? Let's move ahead. Next comes the Vindhyan Range. Now see, Vindhyan Range is 120 kilometers approximately, elevation of 600 to 400 to 650 meters. These are block mountains. Now please understand there is something very important, block mountains. Let us say there is some rock structure. Let us take a small example over here, right? If supposingly there is some fault activities due to the endogenetic forces takes place, and we realize that this part moves down. It moves down. So over here, this part is elevated. These are some of the ways through block mountains can be formed. So this is again a higher region. On the other hand, let us say this force pushes it upwards, it can move upward. So these are blocks. So this is basically leads to the formation of such type of structures known as block mountains. Either two ways, either this moves down, the other regions are elevated, or let us say this part is pushed up and it leads to, let us say, increase in the height. In that particular case also, what we'll say, a block has been pushed up or down, which leads to the reason or formation of certain block mountains. In very simple words, you don't have to go into a lot of detail over here. So this is what is the process. Now when we say about Vindhyans, continue eastward as Barmer and Kaimur hills, which we see in this form, right? This is the Vindhyan range. Now comes the Baghelkhand plateau. This includes the plateau of Satna, Rewa and Mirzapur, lies east of the Maikala range, made up of limestone, sandstone, in the west and granite in the east. General elevation is 150 to 1200 meters. This, again, you should remember the western side is majorly composed of sandstone. The eastern side is majorly composed of the granitic rocks. Clear? That means on the eastern side, sedimentary rocks play an important role. On the western side, sedimentary rocks plays an important role. On the eastern side, the granitic rocks plays an important role. Let's move ahead. So what have we seen? We have studied Aravallis, we have studied Malwa, we have studied Bundelkhand, we have studied Baghelkhand, we have studied Vindhyan. Further extensions are these of the Vindhyan range are in the form of Banrer range, and further are the Kaimur range. These are the two ranges which further extend from the Vindhyan range. Let's move ahead. Now see, we have studied all this, Vindhyan, Banner, Kaimur, all these things have been studied. Now comes the part of the Chota Nagpur Plateau and the surrounding plateaus. This is the region which was the second part of the Peninsular Plateau that we were studying, Central Highlands we were studying. So please understand this, that this particular region becomes important because we are studying the Chota Nagpur Plateau and the surrounding region. Let's zoom it. Now see, one by one, let us study this region. If I study this yellow part, that is majorly what is known as the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Let's see, it lies east of the Baghelkhand, area of 87,000 square kilometers, general elevation of 700 meters, highest elevation of about 1100 meters in the mid-western part, which is known as the Patland. Clear? This is the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Below the Chota Nagpur Plateau, you have the Ranchi Plateau. Ranchi Plateau. Now, this is south of the Damodar, 600 meters is the max elevation. If you see on the north and northwestern part of the Chota Nagpur Plateau, you have the Hazaribagh Plateau. This Hazaribagh Plateau, again north of Damodar, 600 meters elevation. Parasnath peak, important peak, lies over here. If you see on the northeastern side, you have a very important hill, that is the Raj Mahal Hills. Towards the southwestern part, you have this important hill that is known as Garjat Hills. So this is the Chota Nagpur Plateau and the surrounding hills, plateaus and the ranges. Clear? Let's move ahead. Now, having studied this part and all, let's move further south. Below this, over here, you have the Satpura range. Satpura range is 900 kilometers south of the Vindhyan range. Again, Dhupgarh 1350 near Panchmari is the highest peak. That is again very important. That can be asked in your papers. Further extension of the Satpura are the Mahadev Hills and the Maikala Hills. So this is again important over here for the prelims perspective as well as the mains perspective. Clear? Let's move ahead. Now see, we have done the Central Highland region, the Chota Nagpur Plateau regions. We have done the Satpura range, the Mahadev, Maikala range. Let's come towards the east. There are certain important hills that are there. This is known as the Gir Hills. This is known as the Gir Hills. This is known as the Kutch Hills. And this is known as the Mandav Hills. Mandav. This is the Mandav Hills. Mandav Hills. These are certain things that you should extra just have the knowledge about, because this was extensions of this. So just a little bit knowledge about these hills and ranges is important. Now, let's move further south. You will be realizing this is the part of the Deccan Plateau and all. We will be studying Deccan Plateau after this. Deccan Plateau is there. But before we study Deccan Plateau, let me put certain ranges and important ranges that are present in the Deccan Plateau region. You see over here lies the Satmala range. Towards the east of Satmala range lies the Ajanta range. If you see, Satmala range is further extended in the form of Nirmal range here. Further south of this lies one more range, that is Balaghat range. And another important range below that is the Harish Chandra range. Satmala, then you have the Ajanta, you have the Nirmal, you have the Balaghat and the Harish Chandra. These are in the region of the Deccan Plateau, right? Let's move ahead. Now, in this region only, there are two important peaks, Kalsubai and Mahabaleshwar, that are present here. When we'll be doing the drainage system also, this holds a very important significance. We'll study there. Let's move ahead. Now, we have seen certain important ranges over here. Now, let us see it from the perspective of the description of the Deccan Plateau. See, the Deccan Plateau comprises, again, the North Deccan Plateau. Along with it, you have the Karnataka Plateau. Again, you have the Telangana Plateau. This can be considered as the southern part also, but we will take it into three parts. North Deccan, then that is known as the Maharashtra Plateau. Second, we will be taking as Telangana Plateau, and then the Karnataka Plateau. Yeah. Overall, this is known as the Deccan Plateau. It has 5 lakh square kilometers, 5 lakh square kilometers, bounded by Satpura and the Vindhyan Range in the northwest. Satpura and the Vindhyan Range in the northwest. Mahadev and Maikala Hills in north. We had just studied Mahadev and Maikala. Western Ghats in the west and the Eastern Ghats in the east. It is divided into following parts. One is the North Deccan, that is this past Maharashtra Plateau. Then is the Telangana Plateau, and then the Karnataka Plateau. Three parts. Let's study one by one. Let us see the North Deccan or the Maharashtra Plateau. Over here, we see that it lies in Maharashtra. It is made up of the basaltic rocks of the lava origin and famous for the black soil. Clear? Now, you should very well know, while the Indian plate was moving over the reunion hotspot, a lot of volcanic activities took place, and it is an Deccan Plateau was thereby formed during that time. That is why it was a Cretaceous period. Cretaceous period with this volcanic eruptions that took place that led to basaltic structures or rocks being formed over here, and it is step-like structure. That is why it is known as Deccan Trap also, right? So this is a basic detail that you should know with respect to the Deccan Plateau, North Deccan Plateau. Let's move the other part. Let's see the Telangana Plateau. Telangana Plateau is 500 meters to 600 meters. Southern part is higher than the northern part. Southern part is higher than the northern part, drained by Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri. These are the three major rivers which basically move over this particular plateau, again becomes important. Next comes the Karnataka Plateau. Now the Karnataka again has major important part, Maidan and Malnad. This can be asked or has been asked in your papers, becomes important. This is again, this complete region, Karnataka Plateau. Average elevation is 600 to 900 meters. Ulangiri 1913 is the highest peak in the Baba Budan Hills. Malnad. Now see, this is the Malnad region. This is the Maidan region. The Malnad basically refers to the upland or the higher elevation region of this particular plateau. On the other hand, we have the Maidan, which is the planar region of the Karnataka Plateau. So this is Malnad and Maidan. These are two parts of the Karnataka Plateau. Again, a part of the complete Deccan Plateau. Let's move ahead. Next comes a very important aspect, that is the Western Ghats. Eastern and Western Ghats are going to begin. We have already done that. Western Ghats basically begin from the Tapi River till the end over here, right? Till the Kanyakumari. So if I'm talking about Western Ghats, you should know from Tapi till Kanyakumari, length is 1600 kilometers, height is 900 to 1100 kilometers, the width is 50 to 80 kilometers, and it's spread over 6 states, right from Gujarat till Tamil Nadu. Now, in addition to the ranges that we have studied over here, it has Nilgiris, Annamalai, and the Cardamom Hills also that are present here. Yeah. Let's move ahead towards the Eastern Ghats. Now, the Eastern Ghats is not as continuous as the Western Ghats, and a lot of broken and different ranges are present here, which basically comprises to make the Eastern Ghats, because a lot of rivers that are moving from the Western Ghat region towards the Eastern Ghat and form deltas here. So there is a lot of erosional activities that have taken place which have broken the Eastern Ghats to many parts. So let's see here. If you see, we had done Garjat Hills earlier on in association with the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So if you come here, there is again a very important range or hills. This is known as Nayangiri Hills. If you come south, this range is known as Nala Malai Hills, that is in Andhra Pradesh. Then you have this particular range which is known as Palakonda Range, again in Andhra Pradesh. Then towards its east lies the Velokonda Range, again in Andhra Pradesh. Why I've written the names of the states is because it can be asked in your papers, right? Further south you come lies the Javadi Hills, which is in Tamil Nadu. Then further south comes the Shivroy Hills, again in Tamil Nadu. Further south you come is the Panchmalai Hills, which is again in Tamil Nadu. And this again an important part, the Palani Hills, Tamil Nadu. We have already done these three. We already know that is Nilgiri, Annamalai, and Cardamom. Nilgiri, Annamalai, and Cardamom Hills are present here. So this again, please remember the Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats merge around the Nilgiri Hills. So this is again the various ranges, hills that comprises the Eastern Ghats. Overall, if you see, what do we observe? from Odisha till the Nilgiri Hills, length 1700 kilometers, height 600 meters, lacks structural unity because it is broken. Many rivers flowing from this region tend to erode the various mountain hills and ranges. That is why these are lacking structural integrity, right? Width 100 to 200 kilometers. It's more wide, right? This is the Eastern Ghats. Let's move ahead. Let's come to the coastal plain now. Western coastal plain and Eastern coastal plain. If you see the Western coastal plain, it is a Gujarat plain. Gujarat plain is 2340 kilometers, formed by the alluvial from the Sabarmati, Mahi and Luni. Then you have the Konkan. Please, Gujarat plain is in the Gujarat state majorly. Konkan, you will be realizing, is in the state of Maharashtra and Goa. So 530 kilometers long, 30 to 50 kilometers width. When you see the Karnataka region, Karnataka coastal plain, it is 525 kilometers long, 8 to 25 kilometers wide. Further south, you have the Malabar, that is in the state of Kerala. So Malabar, over here it is 550 kilometers long, 20 to 100 kilometers wide. You should be aware of these figures because you can be asked in your papers with respect to their arrangement in a ascending or descending order. You should be knowing that. That is why what is required has been written over here. This is the Western coastal plain. Clear? Now, if I move on to the Eastern coastal plain, see, Eastern coastal plain. Eastern coastal plain overall is 1750 kilometers, 100 to 200 kilometers wide. It is divided into various parts. First is the Utkal plain. Again, this is in the region of your Odisha. Northern Circars basically covers the region of Andhra Pradesh plus Odisha. And then you come down to regions of, again, parts of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu that is present. That is the Coromandel coast. Now see over here. Utkal plain is 400 kilometers long, includes Mahanadi Delta at its head and even has Lake Chilika along this coast. Northern Circars is 480 to 500 kilometers long and 150 to 150 kilometers wide. Andhra coast and parts of Odisha are also covered here. Coromandel coast, 675 kilometers long, 100 kilometers wide. It is very fertile. So this is again the Eastern coastal plain. Now, having known or having explained you the various parts, categorizations, their features, something becomes very important here. That is the difference between both of them. See, it is a submergent plain. It is an emergent plain. Why it is emerged? Please understand. One, we should understand because of the structural movement. Structural movement, there has been an emergence over here. See, first of all, what is important is the moment you see this, just first of all put the heading and write it down. Put the heading and write it down, and then we'll analyze one by one what is the submergent and emergent. Just note down first of all. That is very important. If you see over here, very categorically, see there is Western coastal and Eastern. When I talk about submergent, that means something has gone down. So what we analyze when we study, please understand, though the Deccan Plateau or the Peninsular Plateau is considered stable in nature, there have been geological evidences which have shown that there is slight subsidence on the side of the Western coastal region. Because of that, the word submergent plain has been mentioned. That has basically led to this being emerging because little shift has been observed. Second reason is that emergent is also mentioned here because a lot of deltas formation take place due to the depositional activities. So little bit rise, let us say emergence is there. So that is why it is also known as an emergent plain. So submergent and emergent. Erosion dominates over here, deposition dominates over here. There is no delta formation as precisely takes place in the Western coastal plain. Few estuaries are being found. On the other hand, huge delta formation takes place in the Eastern coastal plain. Narrow in the middle, broad in the north and south, broader than the Western coastal plain. Length is 1400 kilometers, length is 1750. Width is 10 to 80 kilometers, width is 10 to 100 to 200. Natural harbors are present. No natural harbors are present here. So this is a broad aspect of the differences that you should be knowing. Now you will be saying, sir, why natural harbors are not present here? But please understand, because lot of deposition is taking place on the Eastern coastal plain, lot of delta formation is taking place. By default, if something was present, a geological structure was present also, because of the delta formation that has been covered by that. a natural harbor formation does not take place there. So the ships who come to the coastal regions also, the depth should be, a lot of depth should be there. Because of the alluvial being deposited there, the depth of the coastal region along with the coast decreases, and it makes it difficult for the ships to come to the coast. The natural harbors are not present over here. If you want, then you'll have to do a lot of digging and a lot of effort has to be created. That is why we have more commercial harbors present on the western coastal plain, not on the eastern coastal plain. Less in number, obviously, in the east. Let's move ahead. Islands. Now, please understand. If I see the islands, you should know major islands over here is Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and next the Lakshadweep. Among the Andaman Nicobar, please understand, you have the North Andaman Islands. A very important peak is the Saddle Peak. Then on the eastern side, you have the Narcondam and then the Barren Mountains that are present here again. Then over here, south of it lies the Middle Andaman, and further south lies the South Andaman. Now, 11-degree north or 11-degree channel separates the South Andaman from the Little Andaman. Further, the 10-degree channel separates the Little Andaman from the Car Nicobar. Clear? Further south you go, there is Little Nicobar and the Great Nicobar. This is majorly the Andaman and Nicobar. If you come to Lakshadweep, you have few important islands that are there like Amini, Kiltan, Android, Minicoy, Kavarati. These are few examples of the important islands of Lakshadweep. Now, certain important things that you should know. 8-degree channel separates Lakshadweep from Maldives. 9-degree channel separates other Lakshadweep islands from Minicoy. Other Lakshadweep islands from Minicoy over here, right? Next comes the 10-degree channel separates Andaman from the Nicobar Islands. 11-degree channel separates Amini Islands from the Kannur Islands, that is in Lakshadweep. So this is something that can be asked in your prelims examination as well. Something that is present in your NCERT again is few important peaks. Saddle Peak, again this is the highest peak in the Andaman Nicobar. Saddle Peak is present in North Andaman. Mount Diavolo is present in Middle Andaman. Mount Koyob is present in South Andaman. And Mount Twiller is present in Great Nicobar. How you can represent? You very well know this is in order. North, Middle, South and Great Nicobar. This is in order. So you can remember SDKT. SDKT, Saddle Peak, Diavolo, Koyob and Twiller. This is how you can remember it. Clear? Now moving on to certain other islands, if you realize, over here, many other islands are there. Though names, new names have come up. Yes, obviously they are there. But these are the ones that are present in the NCERT. We are using that. You have the Diu. You have again the Cross Island that is present near to the state of Maharashtra. Then you have the Elephanta Island that is present in the Maharashtra. Then you have St. Mary's Island and Pocock Island that is present in front of Karnataka. Important islands along Tamil Nadu are Crocodile Island, Vantivu Island, Avandi Island, Pamban Island. These are in Tamil Nadu. If you come over here, Wheeler Island, again, you know it's in Odisha. Then you have the Sagar Island and Moor Island in West Bengal. These are the important islands that you should be aware of, right? So this was a part of your structure and physiography. That is chapter 2 of the geography lecture series. Please note this very, very carefully. If you have done this very properly, you will not find any difficulty in answering the questions in your prelims and mains examination. So please, please, please read the content that is written on the board while you are watching the lecture. Write down, make the maps, revise it again and again, as I had told you in the introductory lecture. Before the first lecture came, I had told you, revise, revise, revise. See the PYQs also, you'll be able to solve them also. So important here is, from our side, we have taught you, explained you what is required. Please understand, this is NCERT based. We can go to a lot of advanced concepts also, but we're not going here right now because what is written in NCERT, the focus is that. As you've already seen, UPSC NCERT. As we move ahead in further chapters also, further lectures will come up. We will be using the advanced concepts also. But right now, it is based on NCERT. If you know this, you will be able to manage your paper also. So build your strong foundation first before going on to some other concepts. Revise it, make the best use of it. If you do this, you will be definitely benefiting a lot. So we will be seeing you in the next lecture. That is the lecture 3, which is drainage system. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you like the lecture, you can rate or you can comment in the comment box below and tell how you liked it. And hopefully you enjoyed it. Let's meet you in the next lecture. As we always say at the end, Jai Hind, and lots of love from my side and PW Only IAS. Bye.